Hi, everybody. Welcome to the first of a special new video series that we're doing here at Global Voices. My name is Ellery Biddle, and I am the director of Global Voices Advocacy Project. This is our project that focuses on the right to speak freely on the internet worldwide. And one of the things that our community talks about and deals with a lot is the question of security and privacy on the internet. And we are a community that very much depends on these things, but we're mainly people who write and blog and do different kinds of activism, but for the most part, we're not a community of technical experts. So recently, we realized that maybe there's a way for us to bulk up our knowledge about this kind of thing just by talking with people that we've met who do digital security type work. So today is our first kind of try at that, and we're doing it with a couple of very special guests from the Tor project and with our Iran editor, Masa Alamardani. And then joining us from Tor is Kate and Nima. So I'm going to sit back and let these guys talk for a little while, and then we'll be taking questions from those of you who are watching and hope to have a really engaging discussion.
Thanks, Ellery. So this has sort of been one of the things that we've been wanting to talk about and write more about, which is sort of how to make digital security more accessible, like you said, to non-technical people. And we do a lot of work covering, well, I personally do a lot of work covering censorship and security issues related to Iran. So I'm really excited to be talking to one of the Iranian Tor developers, Nima, and of course you, Kate. And so what exactly is the Tor network, and how does the Tor network work? And these are questions we want to better understand throughout the session. And so I'm really excited to talk to you, Kate, because your job in the Tor community is sort of to communicate what exactly it is that you guys do. And I think it's for the first time that Tor has a communications director. And so if you could explain a little bit about why right now, at this point in Tor's lifespan, that you have come on board and what exactly you do in the community.
Thank you. It's really great to be here, and thank you so much for having us. We basically provide a free software, downloadable software that allows human rights activists and journalists and really everyone to be online with privacy and anonymity, so people don't know who you are, and they don't know unless you tell them where you're coming from. And so that provides important safeguards for people that are living in countries with governments that might want to spy on them and maybe come after them in some way. We started out at MIT in Boston, and you know, most of the people in the Tor network are technical experts. And they're not necessarily always thinking about how to get our work out to the world. And we receive a huge amount of press attention, but we hadn't really been putting things out to explain what we did. So we're sort of starting to do that. And my coming on board at Tor is part of our effort to kind of explain what we do to the world. And so, for example, you know, we are talking today, we're going to be talking about Nima's video that he made or that he organized this great project to make this really short, charming, explanatory video. Just explains kind of better than what I just did how the Tor network works. In the past, if he had made that, not very many people might have found it, but I'm sort of the megaphone, you know, to help get the word out about things like that video. The other things that we are doing more of are we're trying to do more outreach. We're trying to reach out to human rights defenders. People don't know that if you're a blogger at Global Voices that you can, many people probably do and some people don't know, that that you can be blogging completely anonymously. If you need to do that, if you're a journalist and you need to be completely anonymous in contacting a source, or you can do that pretty safely with Tor. So that's why I'm here.
I think that's a really good segue to talk about Nima's video. Nima, you made this really adorable little cartoon that explains how Tor works. And just before we get into sort of the specifics of your job, why do you think it was important for Tor to make a video at this point in time? I mean, like, I think things like security and anonymity are really hot discussions right now, especially in the sort of post-Snowden age that we're in right now. So was this one of the reasons why you started that project?
Sure. So I think my role in Tor is a little bit special, since I started using Tor as an activist and as someone who needed anonymity software for the place I was back then. And after a while, I realized Tor is kind of like a duocracy community, where you would just, if you see something needs to be improved, you just do it. So that was my intention, to just get involved in the that was how I actually got started with the community. And so I think a huge part of Tor that many people actually miss is that a key component of Tor security is the diversity of the users. So we don't want just technical people to use Tor. We don't want just we don't want some specific type of people to use Tor. Tor is not just for whistleblowers. Tor is not just for people who want to bypass censorship. Tor is not just for people who don't have some been abused and have some legit reasons to want to hide their locations and stuff. Tor is for everybody. I kind of bet the things that I think Tor for is quite different from everyone else, and everyone has a different understanding of how Tor works. So I think and the other reason that I actually worked on this video is that there are many people out there who actually need anonymity and privacy, but don't know that they need it. I would like to give an example of Sattar Beheshti. If you know him, he was just a random blogger in Iran. He was kind of upset with the system, and he would just put it out in his blog. He got arrested for writing that blog, and after 48 hours, unfortunately, he died under torture. So there are many cases like this, and we only know this one. So I thought that it's kind of my duty to work on this project, and thanks to Kajart folks, Kajart Studio, who they should take all the credit for that video. It was their work, and I just tried to explain how Tor works to them.
Actually, I just have a little question, Nima. If you could explain, can you walk us through, for those of us who've never used Tor, walk us through, if you're this blogger, for example, or any blogger, and you decide that you want to use Tor, what's actually happening? Like when I put in a URL for website, what's the pathway? How does the information travel? What's unique about it?
Very good question. It's kind of funny. Sometimes I go train journalists and activists about online security, and when I tell them how the internet works, and they kind of get scared, and they kind of hate me after that, because they just everyone loves internet, and all these apps, all these websites that we're using are these beautiful websites and beautiful apps, make us kind of addicted to internet and make us used to it, and they have they have such a friendly theme that I have no problem with. But there is one huge thing, huge piece missing here, and it's how the internet works. So whenever you open your browser and go to some website, say example.com, as soon as you press enter, your browser is actually sending a lot of information along that example.com request to your ISP, and your ISP is sending that through the internet all over to example.com and back. So with just requesting example.com, your browser is sending your physical location, precise physical location, your operating system, possibly the other tabs you have open, your screen size, the browser that you're using, and so many other things. And it's just for just a simple URL checking, like you just enter example.com. But what's more scary is that there are many websites. That's why I say corporate surveillance is as bad as government surveillance, is because so many websites are basically just in name of advertisement, or just since or just because it's their business model. They start to learn your online behavior. So even if you use, say you go to other website and say you use another computer and go to other website, but they can even if you do that, even if you change computers to visit the websites you often visit, they still can identify you and fingerprint you. And well, they do this, and they say they do this because of advertisement, because of billion-dollar industry. But it has some kind of side effects too. Like if you're a blogger, you can't really be anonymous. But when you use Tor, what happens is that Tor encrypts your connection through 3 layers of encryption and sends it to 3 randomly selected servers around the world. So tracking you would be way more difficult. And in order to track you, someone should have basically a global view on internet and in real time. So it's very it's just it's an arm race kind of. It's about to raise the price of surveillance. So yeah, I mean, I hope that the video actually explained it better. I don't know. Tor has many different security components. It's kind of difficult to explain it in just a few minutes. Yeah, sorry.
For your location on Twitter, you describe yourself as undisclosed location, but 3 hops away, which I think is kind of a nice way of concealing where you are. You spoke about Iran a little bit, and I'm wondering, did you use Tor at all while you were inside of Iran?
Yeah, like I said, I actually started using Tor as just an ordinary user. I used Tor because I needed it, and I needed some sort of. I was kind of lucky that I was technology. So when the presidential election in 2009 happened, and Iran kind of started to block the internet and censor the internet, and at some point just shut the internet down. So I figured I need some tools to for me, myself, and for my friends, who some of which were doing some sort of activism. So I found Tor. I was lucky enough to find Tor, and that was how I got involved with everything. That's how it all started. Yeah.
And is Tor kind of a popular tool? Is it gaining as much mainstream attention as it is here in Europe or America?
Well, I hope so. I mean, we are trying to teach it to as many people as possible, and try to teach people how the internet works. I mean, I basically use Tor for everything, and that's because I believe that's how the internet should work. I mean, the internet as it is right now was not really designed with privacy in mind, and was not really designed to be scaled this much. So yeah, so I mean, we try to educate people as much as we can, and I think we just have to kind of hope that they use it. And yeah, I mean, if you look at our metrics data, I think last time I saw it, Iran had like kind of a huge number. We have millions of daily users everywhere, and a good portion of it belongs to Iran.
That's good news.
Yeah.
Kate, I have a question for you. I know Tor has a lot of controversies that surround it, and one of the things that I often hear being discussed is the fact that Tor is at the same time sort of under pressure by the US government, but similarly they get funding from the US government. Could you speak a little bit about this paradox that exists?
Certainly. Tor was originally funded by the U.S. Navy, and then people at the and the U.S. Navy apparently funds a lot of different projects. And in this case, the people that were funding it actually handed it over to our developers, and it is now a nonprofit organization. But the original funding for it came from the U.S. Navy. So, as an activist, I look at that and I think, what's that about? And I've learned from interacting with Tor people, as a volunteer, and prior to that as a member of the community who was using Tor, that it actually gets funding from a lot of different sources. It does continue to get funding from, say, for example, the State Department. I know a lot of NGOs. I have friends who work in NGOs in China and other places that also get funding from the State Department. We get funding to support Tor as a human rights tool to protect human rights defenders from the State Department, but also we get money from the National Science Foundation, and we get money from, we got $82,000 from Reddit, and we actually made a kind of hilarious video thanking Reddit, the website Reddit. But that said, still the bulk of our funding is from the U.S. government, and I know, like, again, when you look at that, you're like, well, aren't Tor's policies then just going to follow the U.S. government? That's something that I would think. But in fact, the leaders of Tor are extremely independent, and the way that we are funded is we figure out the stuff that we need to do, and we find people who want to fund the stuff that we need to do to keep Tor strong. That said, we're expanding our funding streams because we know what it looks like, and so even though we know what it is also. So we're doing, we're planning crowdfunding, we're doing more foundation funding, we're doing more funding just individuals. Every day I get probably 10 or 15 emails of people giving us tiny amounts of money, $10, $5. And I think that's going to be one of the ways forward for Tor. The software is absolutely not compromised by any government funding or anything. There's no backdoor to it. It's open source. Anyone can look and actually see the code. So we take funding from the U.S. government. We're grateful to get that funding, but we're expanding our funding streams. And I think that's a valid question to ask, is like, what's up with the government funding? The people in Tor are very strong people with very strong principles. There are people who are actually in exile in Tor for, because of their beliefs. We have a lot of human rights defenders in the group, a lot of people who are committed to social justice, and that's really the character of the group, I would say. As a new person, that's what struck me.
And if you let me, I would like to add just one quick and short point about funding. Like I said, diversity of users is a key to security of Tor network, and heavy of funding would be the key to sustainability of the network. So actually need more fundings from more diverse sources. But so far, like the headquarters of Tor is in the States, and I think that with all this huge pile of things we need to do, we are actually kind of like this is the easiest thing that we can actually get the money. But if I'm asking everyone who is watching this video, if you know how you can, if you know ways that we can actually make this funding more diverse, please help us. We need help from each individual everywhere. If you have idea, like I said, Tor is a duocracy community. It depends on people who are, who are having putting their time on Tor and who are using Tor and everything. Yeah.
So, mind if I jump in for a second? I'm curious what would happen. I think that the idea about diversity of funding seems absolutely critical, because then it's sort of you're working in the interests of all of these people who care about Tor as opposed to a couple of funders. What do you guys think would happen if the U.S. and I guess it's state is the agency that. What if state tomorrow said, we can't do this anymore?
That's a good question. Let me make sure that I'm actually, can you hear me? Yes, okay. That's a good question. We actually, although we don't actually have a couple funders, we have a whole bunch of funders. They're actually listed on our website. And so we have diversity. We are just expanding beyond government funding streams. We also we've gotten funding from Nordic countries, Radio Free Asia, a lot of different funders. So I think if all of the people who got together, all of our funders got together and cut our funding, that would be a big tragedy. I will say we have thousands and thousands of volunteers right now. A lot of our main workers are volunteers. So there's actually a huge unpaid group of people, like literally thousands, that support the Tor network. So if our funding disappeared tomorrow, it would be awful, but we would reorganize because that's the way that we work. But so our funding doesn't actually come from one or two people or one or two agencies or something.
And I, for instance, am a completely volunteer in Tor network.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, some of our central people are volunteers. There are people that refuse to take money from us because they feel like it would be, they want the money to go to something else in Tor, like as a philanthropy thing.
I just wanted to discuss some of the other kind of more controversial or talked about issues related to Tor. I know I was watching season 2 of House of Cards, and Tor was all over that season. They were talking about the dark web, and all of a sudden this became like the sexy, dangerous zone. And but I don't think the dark web is actually that complicated. And if either Nima or you can explain in basic terms what this is and how this fits into one of the Tor projects.
Can I add one quick thing before you start? We technologists and developers really suck at naming things. Like if you actually look at our products, I mean, we are really bad at naming things, and you can't even imagine if we can name a product a dark web. This is something that completely comes out of media. I mean, the moment I heard the phrase dark web, I was like, wow, what is that? And I was already using Tor. Sorry, Kate.
So I actually, do you want to give a technical explanation of what hidden services are?
I can, but how much time do we have? It's like a huge protocol that yeah, I mean yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Oh. Well, I would just say, just to focus it a little bit, I think our curiosity is, what is it, you know, most technologies have many uses, right? It's even if something was developed with a specific intention to help people express themselves who have a legitimate reason not to want to do it in a completely public and open way.
Sure.
But the fact is that the technology, you know, it is, as you guys explained, it's open and usable for anybody. So there are a lot of different ways you can use that. And so I guess what I just wonder is, how do you, when you're working together, how do you think about that? How does it come up in discussion? How does it affect maybe your process or the specific way that you might develop a tool?
So I hope that Nina jumps in to correct the way I'm about to explain this, but hidden services, or the dark web, is this hilarious media term for websites that you have to use the Tor network to get to, and services, like a chat service or something. When I say service, it's about 4%. Our traffic is about 2 million people are using the Tor network a day, and it's going up. Maybe between 1.5% to 4% of that, so a teeny tiny amount of our traffic, is this thing where you need to have the special URL and you have to use the Tor network to get to it. That's what we're talking about right now. So it's actually a tiny fraction of our traffic, and it allows sort of super secrecy. It allows, you know, that is where, for example, if you wanted to leak something to the Washington Post, you would use a special URL that the Washington Post would give you to leak information to them. You know, that's where bloggers are blogging that cannot, you know, in extremely dangerous government, you know, countries where the government is coming after them. It is, and go ahead. Well,
let me like make it a little bit more simpler what hidden services are. So you probably have heard about the term HTTPS or SSL or TLS. So when you visit the website and it has HTTPS, you can make sure that your connection to that website is secure, right? So so if you are checking emails or if you're entering passwords, or so you can make sure that no one in transit is actually looking at your data. If someone looks at what you're doing online, they only see that you're connecting to, for example, Google.com or Gmail.com, and they can just guess that you're checking email. They have no idea what kind of emails you're getting, or what email are you checking, what email are you reading right now. I mean, Google can, because they are running Gmail, but no one else can. And while you're checking emails, Google can tell your precise location and everything. So, for instance, one of the things you can do with hidden services or onion services is that you can connect to your I check my emails every day over hidden service. It's just like an additional layer to that HTTPS that protects my IP address, basically. So when I check my email, which is on RiseUp, for example. RiseUp provides hidden services, and so instead of putting mail.riseup.net, I put this blah.onion URL, and so whenever I connect to riseup.net, they don't learn my IP address. They don't learn where do I am. They don't learn my where I am and at that specific time, or if I'm traveling, you know. So there are times that I I'm traveling and I don't want my bank in the United States to know where I am right now. You know, it's just it's not about secrecy. It's more about privacy. You know, I would like to refer to Cypherpunk's manifesto that in this age we actually need when everything is electronic, we actually need privacy to reveal ourselves selectively to the world. So you can, with hidden services, you can have the option to use services like chat, email, or any kind of like wiki pages, or
Facebook has them now.
Yeah, or Facebook. Facebook actually has a hidden service, dark web. so you can use this onion address to log into Facebook without Facebook knowing your precise location, which is a brilliant idea. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't use Facebook anyways, but for people who want to use Facebook and have privacy, that's a good thing.
Yeah. So what we would like to do at Tor is to build this in to like all the apps on your phone. We can't do it yet. It's like, but that's how we envision this. This is like an incredibly useful feature. I mean, and it's not very well used right now. I just, I said only between 1.5% and 4%, I believe, of our whole traffic goes to this. But it's incredibly useful for a lot of different people. And right now we're at the point where we're sort of exploring technically new ways to use it. There is we have a young developer named who has developed this project called Ricochet, which uses hidden services for chat. It's just a super secure way of chatting with people where nobody can look in, and it's also peer-to-peer instead of like a big Google or a big Facebook, although complicated. But like peer-to-peer. It's person to person.
Yeah, it's not exactly peer-to-peer, but it's decentralized. So you do not depend on one centralized service like Google or whatever to enable you to talk to each other.
Yeah. So we actually see this as the future, and we are looking for new, what they call use cases, new ways to use it that have not even been invented or that are literally being invented right now. And it's actually really exciting. At the same time, just like the invention of cars, of automobiles, the minute you have a way to keep something secret, you have people that want to keep something secret using it. And sometimes they're human rights activists, but they can occasionally be bad guys. We don't know how many there are because the whole point of Tor is anonymity, right? But we do know that it's a sliver of our traffic. At the same time, if you have no communications person and you've heard that this exists, it's so exciting to write about if you're a newspaper reporter or a blogger. It's like it's the holy grail of cool stuff, even if it isn't really that real, or even if it isn't really that, if it's just a tiny fraction. So we have newspaper articles being written about this, even though they aren't really how we see it, and we're seeing the future. We see the future as having much more of this technology in really exciting uses. But right now we're at the very beginning. We're at the invention of the automobile, where the automobile is being sometimes used as a getaway car, but most of the time it's just being used to get people where they've never been able to get before.
So I want to add two short points. One is that hidden services are one of those projects that almost never had any fundings. Yeah. So they are like basically just volunteer based, and we are looking to improve them and like make them better for everyday people to use. So it's not like whenever you look up on some huge media website, you don't just see the bad side of it. And also I want to about the traffic, about the number of Tor users. We don't actually exactly know how many Tor users are out there. We only count the first time they use Tor. So that 2 million users daily are unique users. So if you use Tor over time, you're not in that graph. So it's like 2 million to who knows how much. So yeah.
Yeah, a lot of these conversations actually happen on Twitter. And I encourage anyone who's watching to tweet, especially at Unima at, I think it's at MRPHS, to continue this conversation. I know a lot of Tor metrics and things related to tech is shared over that platform. And I really want to thank you both for taking the time to talk to us and sort of clarify all of these little details related to Tor, which is very useful, and I think we've all encountered it and found it's helpful in our day-to-day work. Did you have a closing point to make, Nima?
Yeah, no. I just forgot a point about the bad usage of Tor. I just wanted to make this point that Tor is part of the internet, and internet is part of our society. So it's basically like I think it was in UK where they've been trying to discuss whether they should ban encryption and tools like Tor, and someone in Parliament of UK actually brought this point up that in UK, specifically in UK, there are more, say, bad websites on the clear internet than Tor. So it's like, so it's kind of it demonstrates how the internet works, and like I mean, as a society, as an internet demonstrates a way that how the society works in general. So if we really care about those bad things happening on the internet, we should fix the society. We should try to educate people. That's the way to go. I mean, it's not like focusing on like say like it reminds me of like early 90s where parents would say internet is a bad thing. What do we know about internet nowadays? So we should I think we should discuss this more often in more diverse communities about how we can fix these issues. And we Tor developers are always, and not just the developers, the community. We need all kind of people in Tor. It's not just hackers or techies. It's just whatever skill you have. Tor is, like I said, is a duocracy community, and you can be part of it. Thanks for having me here.
Thank you for talking so passionately about Tor. It's to hear.
Please go to torproject.org and download the software and give it a try. We constantly are improving it. It's great now. If you tried it 5 years ago, it didn't work out for you, give it another shot.
Yeah, and give us feedback. Feedback is very important. I'm recently I'm working on usable security lately, and I'm trying to we are constantly trying to see what are ways that we can make it more secure and more usable at the same time. Usability and security do not have to be in conflict with each other. Please give us feedback.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much. This was really fun and interesting, and we hope to do another one of these really soon. Thank you, Nima, Kate, and Martha.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.